NFL fans, welcome back to a brand new episode of the J All Day NFL Show. We're back in the lab today. We're talking about the Las Vegas Raiders. We're going to do a full roster breakdown, go over these free agency moves, followed up by a 7-round full mock draft for your Las Vegas Raiders. Let's get into it. All right, all my Raiders fans, make sure you hit that like button. It really does help us get into the algorithm. And if you want more NFL content, more Raiders draft content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. First, we're going to go over the moves in free agency. First, they traded for Geno Smith, who will take over at the quarterback position. They also brought in running back Raheem Mostert on a one-year deal. He's a little bit older, not my favorite move in the world, but they need some depth at the position. The same thing goes with the Eric Stokes deal, the cornerback, one-year $4 million deal, right? So, he was a former first-round pick, never really lived up to that potential, but he's an average player at best. They also brought in Elandon Roberts, the linebacker, on a one-year $3 million deal. Malcolm Koonce is back on a one-year $12 million prove-it deal coming off that ACL injury, right? So, he's got a lot to prove. Hopefully he comes in and lights it up for the Raiders. And one of my favorite moves they made this offseason, bringing in Jeremy Chinn, the safety. Pretty solid player. He's really going to help the back end of that defense. Now, let's move on to this roster and see where we can make some additions to improve this team. Okay, cornerback, definitely a position of need in my opinion. I think they need to go early on cornerback. I don't know about the first round. I don't think there's any true top 10 guys in this draft, really. But second, third round, adding some cornerback help definitely makes some sense, right? Christian Wilkins is coming back off that injury as well. He'll be, we'll have to see how he looks, right? So bringing in some depth at the D tackle position, I don't hate that either. Bringing in an X wide receiver, I think, is imperative, right? I'm not sure if Jakobi Meyers is a true X number one wide receiver. He had the best season of his career last year, but he's, probably a top 20 guy. Good, not great. Brock Bowers, I love Brock Bowers. If you follow my content, you know he was one of my favorite players in last year's draft. I want to see them add a running back 100%. Jakobi Meyers can line up all over the place, so that gives them some flexibility to bring in an X wide receiver. They brought in Kappa on a one-year deal as well. So the offensive line, I do like Jackson Powers-Johnson. He was a rookie last year. Right tackle is a position we could probably upgrade on. DJ Glaze, third-round pick in 2024, played okay last year, right? But depth at offensive line makes sense to me. The offensive line looks okay, but adding more depth is definitely where we want to go. Now, all my Raiders fans, this is what you've been waiting for, a 7-round mock draft. We're up number 6 overall. We take a look at our picks. We got a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, 3 6s, and a 7th round pick. This is a big choice coming up for the Raiders at number 6, right? They could go Ashton Jeanty. I know they need to address running back, right? But I'm going to pass on Jeanty, and here's why. Because if you look at the running backs available, they're picking again at 37 overall. Maybe Omarion Hampton goes, but Scadaboo, Judkins, Sampson, Caleb Johnson, and Trevion Henderson will all be available in the second round, right? Bringing in Scadaboo, I like Scadaboo because he could catch the ball out of the backfield, powerful runner, and I love the Ohio State guys, Judkins and Henderson. I probably prefer Trevion Henderson, honestly, but we'll see who's available in the second round. So what am I doing with this first round pick? Obviously, we're not going tight end. Cornerback, Johnny Barron, he's more of like a slot safety guy than a true outside corner, in my opinion. For me, I think the pick is Tetairoa McMillan. Geno Smith works really well with guys like Tet McMillan that are big-bodied. This guy is 6'5", over 200 pounds. Pretty quick, too. From what I'm hearing, he ran in that 4.48 range at his pro day. So that's great speed for a guy that's 6'5". They don't have that monster X wide receiver. And now you could take, if you look at their wide receivers, you take Jakobi Meyers and you put him in the slot. And you put Tet McMillan on the outside. And now all of a sudden with Tet McMillan, Jakobi Meyers, and Brock Bowers, that's a very formidable wide receiver and pass catching core there. That's why I'm going Tet McMillan to the Raiders at number 6 overall. Now, we're in the second round, Raiders fans. Let's take a look at these running backs, see who's left. Scatterboot, Judkins, Trevion Henderson, all on the board here at 37. I like it. I love it. You could even probably wait to pick again at 68 and get a really, really good running back, right? The running backs are kind of falling. Only 2 have went so far in the draft, right? So I'm at 37 overall. I'm going to take a look at what else is on the board. Bringing in a guy like Gray Zabel to address some offensive line depth makes a lot of sense, guys. Zabel can play center. He can play both guard positions and play tackle. That is a very interesting pick in my opinion, right? But then, cornerback is definitely a place that we need to address. If you look at the cornerbacks, pretty ass, right? So that's where I'm going right here. Trey Amos and Savon Revel are very talented guys. Trey Amos, probably one of the best cornerbacks in this draft. 6'1", 191 pounds. All right, guys, I want to take a look at all the pros and cons on Trey Amos. And the good thing is there's not a lot of cons, right? He tackles a little bit high and doesn't have wow speed, but everything else is great. Good strength to get off blocks. He's got the long arms, great coverage instincts, very high force and completion rate over the past 3 seasons. I'm bringing in a number 1 cornerback for the Raiders, right? And then in round 3, that's where I'm going to go running back. And Cam Scatterboot is still on the board, guys. Still on the board. I'm not even thinking about it. Raiders fans, you're going to love this kid. He is a true ass kicker, man. 100%. 290 grades in his college career. He catches the ball out of the backfield. 44 freaking receptions. That's going to make Geno Smith's life a lot easier. 21 freaking touchdowns, man. This dude is a dog. And they're like, he didn't play big schools, blah, 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 blah. Look what he did against Texas. 80 overall grade. Arizona, 82 overall grade. The dude is a dog, man. I'm telling you. Trust me, guys. Trust me, trust me. Adding Scatterboot to this roster, it's going to be super explosive, man. And I freaking love it. Here's our first three picks so far. We went Tet McMillan. Bringing in that true X wide receiver, 6'5", over 200 pounds. Put him on the outside. Be the X. I love it. And then, guys, we need a cornerback, a true number 1 outside corner on this defense. It's going to help the pass rush. It's going to help this overall defense. Trey Amos is the pick. I love that selection. Then Cam Scatterboot. I'm telling you guys, people are sleeping on Cam Scatterboot. He loves football, and he's just a freaking dog, man. I love Scatterboot at 68 overall. I think that's a freaking steal. All right, now we're up in the 4th round, Raiders fans. Up in the 4th round, 108 overall. Now, D-line is definitely an interesting position for me right now. So in this 3-4 defense, we need a bigger tackle, right? Obviously. So 6'6", 345. Deion Walker, he spells I'm a 3-4 nose tackle, man. Monster. He could fit right in the middle of this defense right there. This is nickel. This is the base defense, and he could really, really help. He could play all over the D-line. All over the D-line. He could play the nose. He could play anywhere. Deion Walker is an absolute freaking beast, man. I love this pick. He's got great athleticism, great size. Quick first step, has the length to play the 3-4 DN. So that means you could put him at the nose or play at 3-4 DN, right? I just love this pick. 10% pass rush win rate for a D tackle. That's really damn good towards the top of the class, right? I just think he's an absolute dog. I love this pick at 108 overall. Okay, now, Raiders fans, we're up 143 overall, our 5th round pick, right? Taking a look at this defense. Off-ball linebacker is a definite need for this team, right? If you look at Bernie and Roberts, Landon Roberts is pretty good, but he's 31. He's getting a little bit old. So we need some freaking depth in this room. And you know who's one of the best off-ball linebackers in this entire draft class? That's Jack Kaiser, the captain of the Notre Dame defense. This dude is an absolute stud. 90 grade in 2023, 83 grade this past season. Missed tackle rate under 5% for a guy who makes so many tackles. He made 75 this year. This dude is an absolute beast. I'm taking him. I'm not even going to think twice about it, Raiders fans. I'm super geeked about this draft. One of my favorite drafts that I've done so far. Look at the drafts we're getting, man. Tet McMillan, Trey Amos, Scadaboo, Deion Walker, the 6'6" monster, and Jack Kaiser. Probably the second best off-ball linebacker in this entire draft class behind Jihad Campbell. Now we got 3 6th-round picks. Okay, so Geno Smith isn't the springiest of chickens, right? The dude's going to be 35 this year. So bringing in a developmental quarterback with one of these 6th-round picks, guys, not a terrible idea, right? Let's see what quarterbacks are on the board. Tyler Shough is on the board right now. We're drafting 180 overall. Guys, I'm going to draft Tyler Shough here in the 6th round. I want to bring in a developmental quarterback behind Geno Smith to learn a little bit. Tyler Shough, great arm, and he's got the good size, 6'5", 225. He's an older prospect, so that's why it's a 6th round pick, right? I don't mind it being a 6th round pick. He's got the good arm strength. He's got NFL talent arm strength, right? Can you develop him at the pro level? That remains to be seen. That's why he's a 6th round pick. I'm taking a quarterback that we could develop in the 6th round. I'm taking a flyer on him. Now, we're up at 213 overall, guys. 213. Now, I want to see if one of my favorite later round picks, Malachi Moore, is on the board. I do love him. And then they could add some safety depth. Jeremy Chin, decent player, not great. The safety position could definitely use an upgrade, right? For sure. Definitely use a little bit of an upgrade. So, with this pick, I'm lassoing one of my favorite players in this draft. I love myself some Malachi Moore. He went in for a visit with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's going to be a very sought-after guy in the later rounds. From Alabama, 84 overall grade, excellent coverage grade, missed tackle rate under 10%, coming in at actually under 7%, forced incompletion rate towards the top of the class. I love that pick, a 213 overall. Now, we're up at 215 overall in the 6th round. Now, we're taking a look at this roster a little bit more. Bringing in another cornerback, I don't hate that either. Bringing in some offensive line depth. We haven't addressed offensive line. So, let's see what's going on with this offensive line business, right? Check out the tackles, check out the guards, and see if there's some guys that slip through the cracks a little bit for us here in the 6th round. Okay, let's take a look at some of these guys. Jackson Slater from Sacramento State. Solid. Holland Pierce from Rutgers, the tackle. 85 overall grade. 6'8", 344. Can really be a tackle. He's got a big frame, man. Can overwhelm smaller defenders with his height and weight. That's a guy you take a flyer on, man. I might go offensive line the last 2 picks, actually. Timothy McKee, not so much. Fairchild from Georgia. I always like bringing in Georgia Bulldogs. Josh Gray, solid. But, for me, Marcus Ware from Montana State, he was always really, really talented. Played at a very small school, though, right? And 6'4", 300 pounds. That's great guard size. But for me, Holland Pierce, man, it's just worth taking a flyer on in the 6th round with that monster frame, 6'8", 344. Yeah, he's got an enticing frame, so if you coach this guy up, he could be a potential cornerstone tackle in this league, right? That's the guys you take flyers on, these guys with these monster measurables like the Eagles did with Jordan Mailata a few years back. Now he's a top 5 tackle in the NFL. All right, now, round 7, 222 overall. At this pick, you just want to bring in the best football player. Jason Marshall Jr., the cornerback, solid. Not going to blow your socks off, 6'1", 201, good cornerback size. Cornerback room is a little thin. Oronde Gadsden, he's a talented player as well, but Brock Bowers has got that tight end spot locked up. Fidel Diggs, solid pass rusher from Syracuse, 6'5", 261, can kind of be that outside linebacker in this 3-4 scheme. That makes some sense as well. Add a little bit of edge depth, man. Always nice to add some edge depth. So you know what? Cameron Jackson's on the board. Diggs is on the board. I do like Fidel Diggs for sure. Crawford, Elijah Clark, Jackson Slater. You know what? I want to bring in some outside linebacker in that 3-4 scheme. Excellent pass rusher, over an 83 grade. 8 sacks, in the 7th round. Can play some special teams, guys. Woo, baby. Raiders fans, you got to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel after this video. A- grade from PFF. Dude, we crushed Tet McMillan, Trey Amos, Cam Scatterbo, Deion Walker, Jack Kaiser. Woo! And then we got a great developmental quarterback in the 6th round, Tyler Shook. Malachi Moore, I love that. Yeah, this safety room is not great, not a lot of depth there. Malachi Moore is an absolute stud. Holland Pierce, great developmental tackle, and Fidel Diggs, an edge rusher in this 3-4 scheme. Guys, I think this is quite the draft haul. One of my favorite drafts I've done so far during this draft process. If the Raiders came away with Scatterbo, McMillan, Trey Amos, Deion Walker, and Jack Kaiser, and Tyler Shook, OMG, guys, I love it. Thank you so much for tuning into the Jay All Day NFL show. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, Raiders fans, and we'll catch you on the next video. Peace.